The ancient Greek world was the birthplace of Western civilization and also of extraordinary legends. There was the lost city of Atlantis, a utopian world that vanished into the sea. Does it lie beneath this island? There was the terrifying Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull monster that lured its victims into an underground labyrinth and devoured them. Could this palace reveal the secrets behind the legend? How did the religious sanctuary of Zeus give rise to the Olympic Games we still celebrate today? At Delphi, there was the mystic oracle, enabling the ancient Greeks to see into the future. What was the secret behind their predictions? Greek imagination created the first theater, and Greek ingenuity the first acoustic arena. How were they able to design a soundstage unsurpassed to this day? The Colossus of Rhodes was the tallest bronze statue ever made. How were they able to make it stand an incredible 100 feet high? And high above the city of Athens stands the supreme masterpiece, the magnificent Parthenon. How were the ancient Greeks able to realize so many groundbreaking innovations at the dawn of European history? The land we know today as Greece, lying in the eastern Mediterranean, was once a very different world. In antiquity, Greece was made up from a collection of warring city-states that became an empire. As this strengthened, much of the eastern Mediterranean fell under the Greeks' control. Some of these lands had their own rich history and culture. Others lived on in legend, where fact and fantasy became one. Nowhere was clouded by a more terrifying story than the island of Crete. At its center lay the infamous Palace of Knossos. This was once the power base of the Minoan civilization, an advanced maritime race who controlled the wealth and trade of the Mediterranean. More formidable still were the stories of the island's infamous King Minos. In Greek mythology, he's said to have built a labyrinth to cage a monster. Half man, half bull, the Minotaur was the shocking result of a union between a sacred bull and the king's unfaithful wife. Today on the island, the remains of the Palace of Knossos can still be seen. Could this building once have housed the most terrible creations from the ancient Greeks' mythical past? Or did the structure of the palace inspire the story of the Minotaur? Built some 2,000 years before the Greek world flourished, the palace contained hundreds of luxurious rooms. But did horror lurk deep beneath the splendor? In 1900, an English archaeologist decided to find out. Sir Arthur Evans began to excavate what he believed could be the legendary palace. As Evans dug, a magnificent palace began to emerge. Covering an area of 20,000 square yards, it revealed astonishing technical feats of the Bronze Age people Evans called the Minoans. From little more than foundations, Evans was able to reconstruct a part of the palace to create a glimpse of a lost culture.
One could say that the Minoans were truly remarkable in their building technologies. They invented certain techniques and methods that were a breakthrough at that time.
One innovation was a series of terraces dug into the hillside to create the palace's east wing, which stood 4 stories high. Another was the grand staircase running up inside the palace. It was supported by cedar wood pillars.
It's a masterpiece in many ways, because it's no easy thing to build a staircase going down 2 flights on a wooden frame.
The diameter of each column defines its maximum load. 3,500 years ago, the Minoans calculated how to make the strongest framework possible by placing these columns directly beneath one another. And they outstripped all other contemporary civilizations in their mastery of light, using light wells and windows on a scale never seen before. To control internal light and space, the ancient architects created a groundbreaking system of doors. The palace boasted an elaborate underfloor drainage system. This not only dealt with Crete's rainfall, it also carried away waste from one of the world's earliest toilets.
This is the famous toilet of the Minoan palace. Outside these doors, you see this large slab, and we have here a hole. So somebody, let's say a servant, was outside flushing water as the toilet was being used.
Leading to the palace were the very first cobbled roads in Europe, built over 1,000 years before the Romans. There were even sidewalks for pedestrians. It became clear that Knossos lay at the heart of a highly sophisticated civilization. So why did Sir Arthur Evans link it with the myth of the Minotaur in its labyrinth? He found a number of clues, including strange engravings in the shape of a double-headed axe. What was their secret meaning? An ancient word for this axe is labyrinth. Evans believed this palace could be the very origin of the word labyrinth. Another clue linking the palace to the myth is the layout itself. 1,500 interconnecting rooms, many below ground. A bewildering maze that would drive outsiders to panic. Rather than being the actual site of Minos' mythical labyrinth, built to imprison the Minotaur, could the maze-like palace in fact have given rise to the story? A possibility backed up by evidence that the bull, an ancient symbol of power, played a key role in Minoan life. Experts now think the Minotaur myth evolved when the powerful Cretans controlled the seas, demanding tributes from lesser states, such as Athens. According to legend, the Athenian hero Theseus volunteered to confront the monster. Armed with just a sword and string to mark his path through the labyrinth, Theseus the Athenian confronted the Minotaur, slaying the beast. The Athenians promoted this story. It made them look victorious. But in reality, Athens was at this time only a minor city, when the powerful palace of Knossos flourished. There is no doubt that this great palace could inspire storytellers, or that its architecture would inspire the Minoan successors, the ancient Greeks. Myths of monsters, heroes, and gods were at the heart of Greek beliefs. The gods controlled human destiny, and for the Greeks, the desire to know what the gods held in store for them became an obsession. A remote hillside at Delphi was discovered to have special powers. Using the medium of a priestess, it was possible to channel these special powers and talk to the gods. These predictions and forecasts at Delphi were known as the Oracle. Greeks in their thousands would soon make the pilgrimage to this mysterious mountain refuge to discover their future. Predicting the future became big business. The Oracle created a huge source of revenue, and this remote hillside at Delphi became so important that Greek city-states had embassies and treasuries built here.
You had the wealth of the Swiss banks and the authority of the Vatican all in one place, because Delphi was glittering with treasure. treasure laid up for the gods, but really for the glory of man.
Delphi was believed to be the center of the Greek world. It became an enormous architectural site. The Roman writer Pliny observed 3,000 monuments there. The most important was the great temple of Apollo. This was the center for the oracle.
If you wanted to look into the future in the ancient world, if you had any kind of question about what was going to happen, there was only one place where you could be really sure that you would hear the voice of God, and that was Delphi.
In such a superstitious society, the oracle was consulted on every issue.
Delphi was the great expert, the ultimate expert. Big politics, shall we go to war? Or the intensely personal things, who's the father of the child?
The sheer difficulty of reaching the oracle served to enhance its mystique. But why site the complex 2,000 feet up a mountainside? The reason lies in a legend which records how a herd of goats was the first to experience Delphi's mystical power. Grazing on the hillside beneath Mount Parnassus, the goats were reported to have been overcome by sweet-smelling vapors. The story goes that the goats themselves began to speak. Their words were interpreted as prophecies, and the belief in the oracle at Delphi was born. In Athens in the 6th century BC, a politician called Cleisthenes believed he could use the oracle to his advantage. He needed to raise his political status, so he decided to build a temple at Delphi, where the magical vapors appeared. He dedicated it to Apollo, the god who could predict the future. So the first task was to build a retaining wall of stone for a massive terrace 70 feet wide and 190 feet long. The columns were made from local limestone. To look good in the eyes of Apollo, Cleisthenes paid for a splendid facade to be built from imported marble. He believed the expense was worth it. He was anxious to win the oracle onto his side, to help him win political support back in Athens. His gamble paid off. Legend recalls that Cleisthenes was blessed with good fortune, and his career was greatly advanced. At the temple, it became the practice for a woman, known as the Pythia, to reveal Apollo's prophecies. The male priests had their own reasons for this, for if a man was to have this power, he would become more powerful than the priests themselves. But women had no power at all, and the priests at the temple could control a lucrative industry.
Priests of Apollo were busy behind the scenes. A woman was chosen to speak because she could be manipulated at times of men's choosing.
Like theatre, the priests worked hard to stage manage the event. It was important that the clients felt that they'd been given an accurate prediction. There have been many attempts to explain how the Pythia entered her trance-like state, from poisonous honey cakes to narcotic substances. But could a recent scientific investigation provide the answer? Experts exploring the geology of Delphi found two major fault lines in the hillside, and these lines in the rock meet directly beneath the room where the Pythia sat in the Temple of Apollo. Knowing toxic gases can emanate from fault lines, the scientists tested a stream that still flows near the temple. They found evidence in the water of ethylene, a sweet-smelling gas that can cause a trance-like state and even delirium. By becoming the supreme authority and the central point of the Greek world, the Oracle of Delphi remained influential for over 1,000 years, all the while answering the Greeks' desperate desire to know the future. To honor their gods, the ancient Greeks created wonders that forced them to make extraordinary technological discoveries. One such breakthrough was a theater built to honor the god Dionysius. It was the greatest theater in the Western world, with the most advanced acoustic design.